Okay, let's go. Episode 3 of the Tudor Accuracies, where we're going to talk about everything that was actually accurate in the TV show The Tudors. So in season 1, we are introduced to this guy who is William Compton, and he was actually a friend of Henry VIII. William Compton was a real person, although he was of course not gay like depicted in the show. Another friend of Henry VIII is of course Charles Brandon. He was Henry VIII's best friend, and yes, he really was made the Duke of Suffolk. That whole storyline with his elevation into dukedom is correct. There's also this scene where Anne Boleyn is laying in the grass and this man, who is Thomas Wyatt, is reading her a poem. The TV show kind of, I guess, meshes Thomas Wyatt together with Henry Percy, who Anne Boleyn was initially in love with before marrying Henry VIII, but in the show they show just Thomas Wyatt and they make him the focus of her previous love interest. However, although that is not true, it is true that Thomas Wyatt was a real-life poet who was really besotted with Anne Boleyn, and that is quite clearly shown in the TV show. He's quite clearly, in love, or at least besotted with Anne Boleyn. This lovely lady is also a real life person. You might have missed her entirely because she didn't get much TV time at all. This is Joan Lark, and there is a scene where she is massaging Thomas Wolsey with her breasts out and everything. This is to show that Thomas Wolsey was in a relationship despite being a cardinal. And this is all true. Thomas Wolsey really was in a non-canonical marriage with this woman called Joan Lark. Then there is a scene with Henry VIII where he discusses how disgusted he is with Martin Luther's Reformation. And this is all very true. Henry VIII was such a staunch Catholic, he absolutely despised the idea of the Reformation. The TV series also shows him discussing it with Thomas More and discussing his pamphlet which he wrote against the Reformation. He was so strongly against it that Thomas More even says you might want to tweak it here and there, the language is a little bit aggressive, and Henry VIII's like, no, I need to show how absolutely disgusted I am with this idea of the Reformation. And this is all very true. Henry VIII was a staunch Catholic until the very end of his life, even while he accepted the Reformation so that he could marry Anne Boleyn. He only liked it because he was able to have ultimate power. And the publication of this pamphlet is actually what led Henry VIII being titled Defender of the Faith by the Pope. It's also ironic. And then there's another scene which mentions the engagement of Charles V of Spain, who is 22 at the time, to Henry VIII's daughter Mary, who is 6 at the time. It goes on to show their meeting, and this is all accurate. Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, who was Mary's cousin, because he was the nephew of Catherine of Aragon, they really were betrothed at one point when she was 6 and he was 22. And this engagement was of course to form a treaty against the French, which is also accurate. Then there's also a brief scene where Henry VIII shows Charles V his new warship, the Mary Rose, and this is also correct. Henry VIII did indeed order the construction of the Mary Rose and also another one called Peter Pomegranate. Henry VIII designed these himself and actually invented the gun ports, which wasn't mentioned in the TV show, but it's a cool little piece of information.